14:30 local time, somewhere south of Velyka Novosilka, Donetsk Oblast. A Ukrainian Shark D reconnaissance drone circled silently at 2,800 meters, its electric motors barely a whisper against the wind. Below, a narrow, half-collapsed bridge spanned a deep ravine. Perfect choke point. A Russian supply column crawled toward it at walking pace. 3 Ural 4320 trucks, one towing a brand-new 2A65 Mr. B 152mm howitzer, still wrapped in cosmoline, escorted by a BTR-82A and 20 nervous soldiers. The convoy commander kept glancing at his watch. He had to clear the bridge before 15 hours or the entire brigade would be short of shells for the night barrage. 4 kilometers to the northwest, in the cellar of a bombed-out farmhouse, 3 Ukrainian operators from the 129th Troop of Unmanned Systems sat in total darkness, lit only by the blue glow of their screens. They had been watching this convoy for 43 minutes. They knew every vehicle, every face, every radio call sign. All that remained was to pull the trigger, but the sky was no longer theirs. The Russians had turned the entire area into an electronic kill box. Layer 1, Zoo Park 1B counter-battery radar, parked on a hill 18 kilometers behind the lines. Layer 2, Repellent 1 mobile jammer on the BTR itself, 400 watts of pure hate across 900 mmHz, 5.8 GHz. Layer 3, a dozen portable R330 SID jammers dug into trenches every 200 meters, plus a Pole 21 satellite denial dome that made GPS lie like a politician. The statistics were brutal. Any drone controller who transmitted continuously from the same spot for more than 5 minutes had a 40% chance of receiving a 152mm airmail package within the next 10. So the Ukrainians had evolved. They never transmitted for more than 0.3 seconds at a time. They hopped across 128 frequencies every second. They sent video in tiny encrypted bursts, then went dark for 30 seconds. It was like trying to have a conversation by flashing a strobe light from the bottom of a swimming pool. It worked, barely. 14:41, an Orlan 10 appeared on thermal, flying a search pattern straight toward the farmhouse. The Russians smelled blood. The operator team threw metallized thermal blankets over themselves and killed every screen. For 90 endless seconds, the cellar was silent, except for 3 men breathing through balaclavas. Before going dark, they had done one last thing. The Shark D dropped a single 0.3-second digital breadcrumb on 433 MHz, a frequency the Russians considered beneath their notice. In that blink, it sent everything the strike cell needed. Exact GPS of the lead truck, speed 14.7 km/h, wind 2 MIS from 200 centimeters, optimal attack vector 068 DE, time on target window 14:47, 14:51. 4 kilometers away in a shallow irrigation ditch, a lone FPV pilot with the call sign Witch powered up his drone, 7-inch carbon frame, 42207 motors screaming at 28,000 RPM, 2 kilograms of octal-shaped charge in the nose, battery 6S 1300 mAh, freshly charged to 25.2 V, flight time available 7 minutes, distance to target 3.9 kilometers, margin for error almost none. 14:45 car launch. The drone shot out of its cardboard tube like a bullet from a silencer, climbing to 3 meters and racing southeast along a tree line. For the first 2 kilometers, the video feed was crystal, 1080p tar 60 FPS, latency 60 ms. Which could see individual cigarettes in soldiers' mouths. Then the Repellent 1 woke up. At exactly 2 kilometers, the picture fractured into static snow. Frame rate collapsed to 12 FPS, then 4, then 1. The control link strength bar turned red and stayed there. Which dropped to the backup band, 433 MHz, and got a flickering monochrome feed that looked like it was shot through a snowstorm, enough to keep flying. At 1.5 kilos, even 433 MHz died. The Pole 21 was overlapping everything. The drone was now legally blind, which did what every FPV pilot dreads. He switched the drone to full autonomous. The little AI module, trained on 10,000 hours of GoPro combat footage, took over. All it needed was 2 clear seconds of visual lock inside 400 meters, and it would fly the rest of the way unguided. For the next 40 seconds, the drone flew on dead reckoning alone, compass, barometer, accelerometers, which stared at a frozen frame of the bridge and prayed the math still worked. 14:47:12, a miracle. For exactly 1 frame, 1/60th of a second, the video popped back. The lead truck was exactly where mathematics said it would be, grinding across the center span. Then the sky screamed. A Russian interceptor FPV, identical frame, no warhead, 30% lighter, dove from 50 meters like a peregrine falcon. Height is energy, energy is victory. Closing speed, 280 km/h, impact in 4 seconds, which had 3.8 seconds to live. He did the only thing that ever works against a lighter opponent. He bled energy on purpose. Full left rudder, full down elevator, throttle to 0. The drone fell like a brick from 15 m to 3 m in 1.7 seconds. The Russian shot through the space which had just vacated, overshot, and had to climb again. Both pilots now had the same problem. Batteries draining at triple rate from violent maneuvers. Whoever blinked first lost. The Russian climbed for a second dive, which saw it coming and executed the move they practice in simulators but almost never dare in real life. The vertical reversal, full throttle straight up. The overloaded drone clawed for altitude, G-forces ripping at the carbon arms. At the top of the climb, almost stalled, which cut power and slammed full yaw. The drone spun 180 degrees on its axis and pointed its nose straight down at the climbing Russian. Head-on pass at 300 km/h combined, 2 pilots, 1 heartbeat at the last millisecond, which rolled 90 degrees right and dove. The Russian committed to collision, tried to follow, but entered vortex ring state and tumbled. By the time he recovered, which was already skimming the deck at 4 meters, racing for the bridge, battery voltage flashing critical red. 14:48:50. Final 400 meters. 3 Russian soldiers were waiting exactly where soldiers always wait at choke points. 1 with an AK-74, 2 with Saiga 12 shotguns loaded with 100 buck 50 minters. The rifleman opened fire first. A 3-round burst stitched the air. 1 5.45mm round clipped the rear left motor. It exploded in a shower of carbon fiber and smoke. The drone yawed violently left, flight controller screaming as it tried to compensate with 3 motors. 35mm first shotgun, 65 pellets filled the air. 2 struck home, 1 destroyed the front right motor, 1 punched the battery. Voltage collapsed from 14.4 V to 12.9 V in a heartbeat. The drone dropped to 1.5 ms and kept flying on raw spite. 20 mm, second shotgunner fired high. The crippled drone had fallen below his pattern. 10 mi, the third soldier discovered his AK couldn't depress low enough. He stepped backward, tripped on rebar, and fell. 5M, the AI finally locked the red outline of the ammunition truck. Terminal guidance took over. 14:49:03, impact. The drone hit at 62 km/h. Slow, almost gentle, directly into the canvas cover over the shell crates. The 2-kilogram shaped charge detonated perfectly. A jet of molten copper, moving at 8 km/s, punched downward through 8 stacked 152mm high explosive shells. The secondary detonation was biblical. The entire truck lifted 2 meters into the air on a pillar of orange fire. The bridge deck, already weakened by months of artillery, cracked along a pre-existing fracture. The burning truck, the howitzer, and half the span slid sideways into the ravine in slow motion, trailing burning ammunition like a comet's tail. From 2,800 meters altitude, the Shark D watched the smoke column climb 500 meters and drift east on the wind. In the cellar 4 kilometers away, Witch let go of the sticks, pulled off his goggles, and quietly said the same thing every FPV pilot says after a miracle. Battery was at 7%. 7. Somewhere behind the lines, a Zoopark 1B radar painted the sky looking for a transmission that never came. A repellent 1 cooked empty air, and a very expensive Orlan 10 searched for operators who had been gone for 6 minutes. The nearest Russian alternate crossing was now 22 kilometers away. By the time the column's survivors finished screaming into their radios, the Ukrainians were already drinking coffee and printing new frames. Total cost of the strike: one $450 drone and 1 very tired battery. Total delay inflicted on Russian logistics, minimum 48 hours. This is the new warfare. No front line, no safe rear, just mathematics, spite, and whoever still has 7% battery left when it matters. See you on the next bridge.